Alright, so I wanted to go over something super quick with you guys. I want to go over how to attach motion capture to rigs inside of Maya. Now I'm going to point something out real quick. So if you do have Adobe Creative Cloud, if you scroll down, you'll see Fuse. This is going to go away here real soon. So I'm going to show you what this is real quick. And if you want it, you should go get it really soon because it's going to be gone in like September or something like that. Anyway, inside of Fuse, we can build some characters like super fast, and then we can throw them in Mixamo, and it'll rig them for us. So for those of you that aren't modelers or haven't learned how to model yet or haven't learned how to rig yet, this could be kind of a quick solution to play around with in the meantime. Now, I will point out this. The only characters that are going to work with Mixamo are going to be the female fit A, or there's a male fit A. Yeah. The rest of these, they're just not symmetrical, let's say that. So the rest of these are not going to work. But if you want to build a character, so you can go to male fit A, and you just click on that, and that'll drop that in there. Now, you can play around with all these different body types if you just want to play around with the program, see what it does. Just know that you need to go grab the pieces that say male fit A or female fit A. Again, if you want to play with different things and match heads, you can. But I want to look at this more for how you could make something super quick for a motion builder. So again, male fit A arms. I'll drop that on there. Oops, I think I did the wrong body. Male fit A. There we go. But yeah, as you can see, it'll drop different torsos in here, and you can actually do things to resize or reposition things or make them bigger and so forth. So okay, so we have that. Once we have all that, we got the male fit A legs, the arm, the head. Cool. Once you have that kind of sorted, it's all male fit A or female fit A. You can also go to clothing, and you can look at dropping some of their preset stuff. Again, once you get into modeling, this might be something that you really want to work up yourself. It's interesting combining different things, but let's just drop something super basic. And then their shoes. And I'm not going to mess with the hair because this is all geo hair, so it's a little ugly. I really would want to build some of that myself. But anyway, once you have you've gone through this, you've done classes or whatever you want, different masks. Once you're ready, there's just this little send to Mixamo button, and that's all you do. You click it. It takes a second to load up, but then it'll pop up in Mixamo, something like this. So Mixamo just it'll analyze your rig, and it will auto rig it. You also have the option to enable or disable some facial stuff for it. So if you want to enable it, you would do that, and then you would just click update rig. And then once that's sorted, you can actually get motion capture within the site. I didn't do all that. I just went and just finished that, and this is taking a second, so I don't know that I'm going to show all that, but it'll give you an option to download. Okay, so we have that character that we downloaded, and I'm just going to go and drag and drop it right in here, and that's going to pop in here like so. Shrink this, and this character, I now have a rigged character. And if I click this little X-ray joints button right here, it'll allow me to see the bones. And if I just grab one of these bones, we can see that this character has been rigged. I'm not really digging his eyelashes so much, so I'm just going to come and select those, and then I'm just going to click H to hide those. Okay. So we essentially have a character that is rigged, and so we want to look at adding some motion capture data on it. So we have our motion capture studio, right? So we can go capture some of our own motion capture and attach it to this rig. And if we have time, maybe we'll look at doing that. But in the meantime, I want us to look at just getting the data once it's created out of something like Motive or downloaded from Mixamo or something like that. How do you attach it to this rig? That's essentially what I want to look at here. So let's look at this. If we go to Windows, General Editors, and Content Browser, we're going to notice in our content browser, you'll probably pop up with something like this, that there's an animation section already inside of Maya that does have some motion capture. If you're curious, there's plenty of things in here. If you click on Bifrost, this shows some different Bifrost fluid examples, and so you could load this into your scene just by dragging that into your scene. There's paid effects, right? Not to get off on tangents, but we can get different trees and all sorts of things from here. But the thing I want to focus on is the motion capture. And so if we click on the motion capture and the FBX, we can see that Maya already has some motion capture data in here for us that if we want to play with. So let's look at walk to run. So if I pull this out here, and all I did was I just clicked and drag it over to this window, we will see that there is some motion capture data on this additional skeleton that's been pulled in. So we want to come up with a way where we can take the data from this and attach that data to our guy skeleton. So how do we do that? So first off, let's make sure that we are in our rigging tab, and then if we come up to skeleton and down to human IK, we can create some references for this skeleton, and we can create another reference for this skeleton. And then we can tell the reference for this skeleton to look at the reference of that skeleton. And that will pull that motion capture data onto this skeleton. So let's go about doing that. So first off, we're going to set up the reference for this skeleton. And how we do that is, this already did come in with some reference, but I want to show you how to make it. So we're going to pretend that walk to run isn't even there. So we're just going to do none. Okay. So we already have a skeleton, right? So we don't need to create a skeleton. We don't need to create a control rig right now. You could, but we're not. What we want to do is create a definition. Okay. And so we're going to click this create character definition. And I'm going to go up to my main selection tool. And the way we start using this to define this skeleton is by coming over here and double clicking, right? So I'm going to double click the head, and I can see the bone that looks very similar to that. So I'm just going to come and I'm going to select this out in this viewport. That's perfect. Now I'm going to come over here to the left arm, and I'm going to double click this. Now be very careful. This is the collarbone. That is not the arm. This is the arm. So we want to come in and we want to click on the arm. And I can tell that because this joint is right like where the shoulder is, right? And so this bone this bone that's right here is what is the arm. Okay. I'm going to double click the left forearm. Click on the left forearm. Now you'll notice something as I'm doing this, and this is becoming green, so is the right side. And that's because Maya is pretty smart, and it's able to figure out when I'm defining the left side that the right side is the exact same, but it's just on the right side. So Maya's, as we do one side, Maya is just automatically doing the other side. Okay, I'm going to double click on the hand. I'm going to come in, I'm going to click on that little wrist. All right, cool. There is a spine. I'm going to double click on this. And I'm going to come here and click on that. And then I'm going to double click on the hips. I'm going to click this bone right in the middle. Double click the left leg. Click on the left leg. Double click the left shin. Click on the left shin. Double click the foot. Click on the foot. Okay. And now we have a character one. So a second ago there wasn't anything here. right? It said none, and then we click create a definition. Well, this is our definition, and it's now defined our first skeleton. So we now want to do the same thing, but for this skeleton. Okay, so we need to click here again, go to none, and now this is going to be a little problematic for Maya because this is not symmetrical, and this pose could be in a gazillion different manners, and so this could confuse Maya. So we want to get this skeleton back to a T-pose like this and then define it. And the way we do that is if we come here, we click on the root, which is usually right there on the pelvis. We're going to click that. And then if we come down here to this little semicolon all the way down here to the right bottom corner, we're going to click on that. And we want to type this code in there, and this stands for select hierarchy. So if I select this bone, it's going to select everything that's a child or in the hierarchy of a child of this bone, right? So essentially it's the hips, okay? And we just want to run this code, okay? And it's going to give us everything that's connected to that bone as a child, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. So to run that code, we can just click this little play button. And now you can see we actually have, it actually selected everything for us, okay? Okay, so just run that code. And now what we want to do with that selected, let's go back to our channel box layer editor for a second. And the way I do this, you could do it one at a time. You could go into X, rotate X and do 0, rotate Y and do 0. I typically will click on rotate X and then just drag straight down and then let go of the mouse button. And then I can just do it all at once. It's okay if you want to do them one at a time, but I'm just going to do them all at once. And you'll see it's set the rotations for the skeleton all the way back to 0. Now if I move this, you'll see it goes right back into its movement. So I'm just going to do all that again. Click on the bones, run this little code, and 0 out the rotations. All right, cool. Okay, so now we have this in a pose that's going to be easier for Maya to define. And as you know, notice this has a lot more bones than our skeleton. So we just want to pick the things that are still approximately in the right place. So we want to go back down here on the right side to human IK. And we're going to come down to create character definitions. Okay. And we're going to go through the same process. So I'm going to double click the head. I'm going to click on that head bone. I'm going to double click the arm. Again, that's the collar. So we're going to click on the arm. Double click the forearm. They put an extra bone, so we're just going to skip down here. Okay. And we're going to double click the hand. And again, that is essentially the wrist. Okay. Alright, cool. We're going to double click the spine. We're going to come and click that spine. Double click the hips. We're going to come and click right there on that middle root bone. Double click the left femur. Click right there. And again, there's an extra bone in there, so we're going to skip it for the next round. So we're going to double click the shin. And so we're going to skip that one and come to this one. Okay. Right, because that one's just below the knee. We're going to double click the foot and click on the foot. Cool. So if you notice now, we have a character 2 and we have a character 1. So the character 1 is the definition for this, and the character 2, it now defines this. So if we change this back to character 1, we've gone back into our definition for this guy. But what we can do is we can now set the source to look at character 2. And now you'll see this character, if we play through it, it's been attached to that motion capture of the other skeleton. Alright, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off these bones. And I might actually come over here where we have this walk to run reference and just click H to hide it. And now we can look just at the motion capture that we made for our guy. All right. So that is essentially how we do that. So again, we define our character's skeleton, and then we define the mocap's skeleton, and then we use the definition for our primary character to look at the definition that we created for our second skeleton. I wanted to point out one last thing real quick. There is always going to be a way whenever you make a rig, whether it's motion capture or whatever, that there's some sort of master controller. Through this setup, what you can see right here is this walk to run. It's the reference. And so we could put all of our character stuff like in a group. And then this is the mocap stuff, right? This, if you see this little reference that the mocap has been parented under, if we, I'm going to just break the keys for this. I'm just going to select all that and right click and break connections, right? And there's really no keys on that, right? All the keys for the motion capture are actually like on the skeleton and so forth, right? So if we look at this, this is where all the motion capture is. We don't really need anything on that reference. So with that reference selected, if we needed to move him somewhere else and have him run somewhere else, we could totally do that. Or if we needed to rotate it or something like that and just have him run at a different place, we can totally do that. So anyways, I just wanted you guys to also be aware of like how you could use that to affect where our character is at.